The night Ella Carter found him, it was raining hard, one of those small-town storms that sneak in fast and soak the world in minutes. She had just finished her shift at the clinic, keys in hand, ready for nothing more than dry socks and hot tea. That's when she heard it, an engine screaming, tires losing grip, and the unmistakable sound of metal skidding across pavement. Her head snapped up. A motorcycle, big, black, and mean-looking, slid across the slick road, sparks flying before it crashed into the ditch across from the parking lot. She didn't hesitate. Ella sprinted, water sloshing into her shoes, her heart pounding as she reached the wreck. The Harley was still growling like it hadn't accepted defeat. Its rider, however, was motionless. He lay twisted near the bike, one arm bent under him, the other bloodied and limp. His face was smeared with dirt and rain, but she saw the gash above his eyebrow, the purpling bruises across his jaw, the raw knuckles that told a story of fists and fury. His clothes were torn, soaked in blood. Not all of it was his, she realized. The leather cut on his back read, "Devil's Blood MC, President." Ella froze. She knew that name. Everyone in town did. Rhett Maddox. The man they warned you to stay away from. The one who walked into rooms and made people forget how to breathe. She should have walked away. But she didn't. She knelt beside him, fingers already checking his pulse, eyes scanning his wounds, voice low and steady as she whispered, "You're not dying on my watch." His body was cold, but his heart was strong. And Ella Carter had just saved the devil himself. Ella wasn't dumb. She had 3 rules when it came to men. No bikers. No criminals. No patients. And Rhett Maddox was currently all 3. Any sane woman would have left him bleeding on the roadside and called it a day. But Ella Carter wasn't wired that way. So, she patched him up anyway, ignoring the pounding of her heart, the blood on his knuckles, and the MC patch stitched across his torn leather. She didn't take him to the hospital. Too many questions. Too many cops. And cops meant paperwork, noise, and worst of all, trouble. So, she took him home. A little house on the edge of town, tucked behind a willow tree and hidden from the kind of world he seemed to come from. She cleaned his wounds in silence, her hands steady even when her stomach wasn't. There was blood on her scrubbed top and adrenaline in her veins. He didn't wake up until 3 hours later. When he did, he didn't speak right away. He just stared at her. Storm gray eyes locking on like they recognized her from some other life. There was no panic, no confusion. Just a slow, deliberate focus. "You saved me," he said finally, his voice rough, like gravel soaked in whiskey. Ella shrugged, brushing her damp hair behind her ear. "I'm a nurse. It's kind of what I do." He blinked once, slowly. "You touched me." She tilted her head. "That's usually how saving someone works." He looked her dead in the eye. "You're mine now." Ella shot up so fast she knocked over the lamp beside the couch. It crashed to the floor. "Excuse me," she said, backing up a step. "You heard me," he said, voice calm, almost amused. "Old code. You saved the devil, you belong to him." "You're what?" she snapped, eyes narrowing. He sat up like he hadn't just been half dead 3 hours ago, his movements slow but sure, flexing muscles that probably had names and resumes of their own. There was a lazy confidence in the way he leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes locked on hers like he had all the time in the world. "You put your hands on me. Stopped my blood. Looked me in the eyes when I was down," he said, voice rough and low. "That's claiming, sweetheart. Old rules." "I just saved your life," she said, incredulous. "That's not some romantic biker ritual. It's basic humanity." He tilted his head, the corner of his mouth twitching. "And I don't forget things like that." She crossed her arms. "I'm not yours." He ignored that. "What's your name?" "Ella." He repeated it slowly, like he was testing it on his tongue. "Ella," he murmured, and somehow made her own name sound like something forbidden. I'm Rhett. Oh, I know who you are, she said dryly. Your reputation's bigger than your bike. He grinned then, wolfish, dangerous, unfairly charming. And so is my. Finish that sentence, she cut in sharply, and I'm calling 911. He laughed, a deep, smoky sound that curled around her spine and settled there like heat. She hated how her body reacted to it. Hated even more that he noticed. Relax, Nurse Ella, he said, leaning back against her couch like he owned it. I'm not going to bite. Pity, she muttered under her breath before she could stop herself. His eyes lit up. Oh no. This man wasn't just trouble. He was the kind of trouble that smiled at you while the house burned down, and handed you the match. 2 days later, the storm passed. But Rhett was still there. Drinking her coffee. Stealing her bacon. Wearing her flannel shirt, and absolutely nothing under it. He moved through her tiny kitchen like it offended him, like it should be bigger just to accommodate the sheer presence of him. A wolf, trapped in a dollhouse. Ella tried to ignore how he filled the space. How her shirt clung to his chest. How every time he smirked, she forgot what she was doing. Then came the knock. 3 men stood on her porch, rough and quiet. All wore the same leather cut, Devil's Blood MC stitched in blood red across the back. One was missing an eye. Another had a scar that ran from lip to collarbone. The third, oddly enough, held a small bouquet of daisies. Ella blinked. You don't seem like flower guys. The one-eyed man grunted, holding out the flowers. Rhett says thanks. Then, more serious, we need to talk to him. Before she could answer, Rhett was suddenly behind her, hands sliding past to open the door. His jaw was clenched, eyes unreadable. Stay inside, he said, voice low. Rhett, what's going on? He paused, looked at her. Softer this time. War. I owe you my life. That means you don't get caught in it. She crossed her arms. You're not deciding what happens to me. He leaned in close, his breath warm on her cheek. You saved the wrong man, Ella. And now the devil's coming. The door shut behind him with finality. Seconds later, gunfire cracked the silence. Ella didn't think, she ran. Outside, under the pale light of the moon, Rhett stood, bloody, bruised, panting, over 3 sprawled bodies. He turned to her, eyes shadowed. You should have let me die. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.